All right, look at that. Where's my stuff? Hello, everyone. Hi. There we go. Trying to get my stuff going here. There we are. Apologies, sort of a weird beginning here. Let me change that camera a bit. There we go. It's, yeah, we're kind of back to basics, if you will. So, some time ago, I had a little thing called Workshop Wednesday. Pardon as I get ready here. Which was an opportunity for me to just make something every Wednesday. And I stopped doing that for a while, but I felt like getting back into it tonight. And I've got some D&D minis that I'm working on here. I thought I'd just make some more progress on those and maybe chat with folks as I'm here. So if you're watching, please feel free to say hi. This, if you're watching later, I'm just laying down an initial coat on these minis. I've got a like a Drake-esque dragon here. I'll have to figure out how to get this to focus properly. It always has trouble with these sort of minis. It doesn't like things up close. Yeah, that's not too bad. So there's a Drake that I'm working on, and then I have a bunch of hobgoblins. There we go. So working on them, they have this sort of dark red skin tone. So I'm just laying down some skin tone on them, and then I thought while I had this red, I would paint up this Drake. And for me, the big deal is to get a basic coat on it. The reason these only have some red on them is because they are pretty heavily clothed. They have a lot of, they have shirt and boots and so forth. So there's no point in my putting red on all those parts. I'm just covering kind of the face and the joints where you may see some exposed skin. So just waiting for all that to dry and then laying down this base coat for the dragon. And for me, the key with mini painting is to get one big solid coat on. Now, sometimes I will paint the minis all the way solid, or most of the time, because you might as well have it solid. A mini that at least has a single color looks better than just a pure white mini or pure black mini. It just has that little extra bit of polish, if you will. Not polish, but it just, it's distinctive at the table. Hey, Kurisu, thank you very much. But for those goblins, I know I can layer down at least just brown for the the clothes, and that'll be easy enough. So, like I said, just throwing down some paint on these. I'm using a sort of medium-size brush by mini standards, just to layer stuff down. And I never use just a straight color straight from the bottle whenever I'm doing mini paintings, because there's very few things in real life that are just a pure fire engine red outside of fire engines. But especially when you're doing minis, I'll always combine two colors. So I'll do, so for example, this is just a pure red with some brown added into it, which just darkens it up a bit and gives it that little extra level. Again, it just makes it a little more realistic. And this won't be the only color that goes on it, probably. I want to add more to it, but again, this is one of the things I like, is that just this much gives you a mini that you would put down at a table and make people go, ooh, right? So just a good starting point. How you doing tonight, Karisu? What's new? Okay, and these are just simple hobby store paints. Like literally, most of these are from Target. I do not go in for expensive paints. I haven't even tried expensive paints, honestly. Mainly because these simple craft acrylic paints have worked very well for me so far. So I haven't needed to do that yet. So again, just lay that on there, and then try to move that over. And as you can see, this is already drying, which is great. I can get that down there. Now, if you want to get really fancy, you can mix in the paint. You might be able to kind of see. So I mixed in the red here, but this glob here still has a bunch of brown in it. So you can kind of use that to make some areas of your paint a slightly different shade. So you have like some lighter red and some darker red, and then you can like do the horns a different color. But usually I'm not that careful. Okay. And I'm definitely not paying attention to that here. I just want to make sure I have full coverage everywhere. It's easy to miss a spot. And then you put it out the table and you're like, oh, yep, there's an odd bit of clear white somewhere. Yeah, a little bit more of that wing. Okay. Watching a lot of magical anime from the 80s lately, magical girl anime. Nice. What you been watching? I do not have a lot of exposure to 80s magical girl, quite honestly. That was definitely a ripe time for magical girl. Kind of. In fact, it seems to me like the 80s were kind of the heyday of magical girls, right? Like there's a lot of magical girl anime. There's always a good number of magical girl anime out there, but like it seemed to be a time when there was just tons of it. Okay, we've got that. Do I have any other minis? So again, when I have some paint out, I kind of like to make use of it. And that's a nice dried blood color. Ooh, I have a Dragonborn I could paint up. Yeah, let's give this guy. Oops. Let's give this guy some red. What do you think? Give him a nice red skin tone. Again, trying to think of. Let me see. There's something else I could put some blood on, maybe. Ooh, I got a hook horror. I'll just splash some blood on this guy. He's a nice, scary little creature. What else? Those don't really make sense. I can certainly splash blood on anything. I do have some rat folk I'd like to work on, but I don't think red makes sense for them. Yeah, I think I'm fine with that. So let's start there. The other. Ooh, I have some orcs. They're pretty good. You know what? Let me take some other creatures. Like I said, it's kind of nice to do something. So here are some. I don't even remember what these are called, but they're just sort of general kind of. Come on, focus. Kind of focus. Yeah. General sort of demonic creatures. So I'm going to just splash some blood on the tines of his implement. Maybe you get a little bit on his lapels, his hands, on his front. Just daubing some blood around on his general person. So there's that. Come on, camera. Kind of hard to see, but a little bit of flash there. Azukin Cha-Cha, however that's spelled. Cool. A bit more on this guy as well. And one of the things here is I have not dipped this in any more red. Oh, come on. Focus. Wow. There we go. So there's just still some some red on here, but not too much. And this allows me to kind of dab it on without it getting dunked in red. And it gives you that kind of idea of, oh, this has been kind of splashed on. He's kind of gotten his hands in, if you will, or it. So you can see you got, again, we'll see if we can get this figured out. Yeah, so there's a little bit of red splashed around now. Cool. Similar thing with the hook horror. I'm going to cover his those sort of side blade things with some red here. And the nice thing is, since the others don't have this, we can say, oh, I want the bloody one. I want to go after the one that has all the blood on him. Kind of makes sense. Yeah, so I like that a lot. So we have this guy. So we just threw some red on the ends of those hooks and a little bit on his beak, and it just adds a little bit to there. In fact, you know what? I like that so much. I'm gonna take that and I'm gonna really bloody up one more of them. Let's see what I can do here. So I'm gonna add some to the tip, get some off, so again I'm not completely soaking it in the red, but I want to kind of get that all over the place. And just really, like he's been, elbow deep in gore and such. I like that idea. And then I think I'm going to, again, do a similar kind of thing here. I'm going to put a bunch on his head, on that beak. Ooh, it's interesting. They have these tongues, which I've painted black in the original one. I wonder what a red tongue would look like, but I'm going to brush more on the front of his body, and a bit sort of on the chest. Again, that idea that he's just been gorging on something knee deep in it. Okay, that's pretty cool. Yeah, I like that a lot. Let me just see if I can take some red and just dab it on his tongue. And give him a red tongue. Yeah. That worked pretty well. So here's what we get. You see a lot more red on his. I might even do more. But just a lot more detail there. Yeah, let's go a little heavier on the red hooks. I feel like as that's dried, it's gotten a little less dramatic. I generally don't play really bloody, gory games. I don't run bloody, gory games, but it's nice as kind of flavor to occasionally have something where it's like, oh man, that's kind of nasty. Okay. There we are. Yeah, that's better. Again, kind of feels like he's been done. All right. We'll need some brown for this. Oh yeah, and then we got our little dragon guy. Again, I'm just going to take that, and I think I'm going to give him just a whole solid base coat. This is actually, I believe, a mini for a player character in one of my games. One of my old campaigns, which is now over. Yeah, let's just give him a whole base coat of the red. Again, just kind of a little more convenient to have that. I'm not going to intentionally put any red on the staff because that's a little, unnecessary. I know I can just throw some brown on the staff. And like pieces of wood are one exception where I will just use like a base brown on those a lot of the times because it doesn't really matter to get an unusual, or to get I usually want an unusual color, if you will. But with like wood, there's a base brown is fine. Why is that camera not working? That's interesting. One moment. Why can't you see? One sec. Camera 2. Let's just reset that camera real quick. Maybe you just needed a moment to reset. Oh wow, it's dead. That's odd. Why is it dead? All right. Let's use that one. That's better. So you'll be looking down my nose a little bit, but you know, what can I say? Okay. So we'll do some more here. So yeah, so I can just use a straight up brown on that staff. But let's just throw all this on here. I'll also see if I can't turn this red into another color. Since I have so much of it, I always end up making way more paint than I think I'll need. And unfortunately, because it's now mixed, I can't like, you know, dump it back into the tub. There we are. So I try to make as much use of it as I can, where possible. And of course, you can always add a bunch of colors to it, just make it kind of a muddy, browny, blacky thing. And just use that as kind of a random color. I'm actually kind of tempted to take some minis that I don't have like a color scheme for yet, and just like dilute this down again, sort of a gray brown color, and then give them all a coat of that again, just so they have some kind of a color. So when you look at them on the table, you're like, oh, I want, you know, that darker one or that lighter one. Okay, a bit more in there. This is a plastic mini, as opposed to the resin a lot of these others are, which is a little harder because it has a few more sort of weird edges on it, where the plastic had connections to the base plate. Okay, cool. So this is, and he'll dry, be a little easier to see, but this is what we have here. And again, like I said, as you can see, just having that base coat just makes it pop. All right, I'm gonna move that. I'll put it here. Okie doke. So those guys are drying pretty well. Are there any other minis I can just throw a color scheme on? Nothing that's really red though. Do have some other nah. Not feeling it. All right, so. Ooh, actually. Nah. Well, we'll pull these out. So I've got some just sort of general villager minis. Just sort of random people. So I won't use that red, but I'll use again like some kind of brownish. And then I've got these guys. No. Okay. So yeah, let's tell you what let's do. Let's take that and add like a dark brown to it. Should have some dark. Yeah. Actually, no. Let's just go ahead. Thought I had a bunch of black in here. There it is. Has some blue as well, which is kind of an interesting addition. Let's throw some black onto the. Well, see, I want a brown. I do want a brown. But I also want a contrasting color to that. So let's. Okay. Let's grab another bowl. I'm still not sure what to do with that red because I like it. and I might splash some more around. But I'm gonna take some, oh my gosh, stuff all over the place. So I'm gonna take some base brown. Can I have some dark brown here somewhere? I thought I just pulled some dark brown out. I'm going crazy. Okay. I'm just gonna throw some dark brown right there. No, that's just a straight brown. And then I'm gonna add a little black to that. Now, dark colors. Do I do some blue? Let's try some blue. Let's go crazy. Now, dark colors tend to overwhelm lighter colors, so you need very, very little of it. I'm just going to add that much. Start there. And I'll use that same stick. I'm just going to mix that in and see what we get. Oh, the blue is overwhelming the brown. Interesting. Yeah, I'm getting a blue out of that. Sort of a gray blue, but it's more blue than you're seeing on camera, I think. So let's add more brown. Maybe use some black. No, we'll do brown. And I'll need a new stick because again, I don't want to contaminate that. Advance Happy New Year, Matt. Good to see you. Welcome, welcome. So let's add some more brown to that. And again, this is where I always get in trouble because I end up with way more than I actually need. So we'll mix that in and see what kind of, okay, we're getting an interesting color here. Sort of a purpley color. I'm not thrilled with it though. But it's kind of a grayish purpley color. Okay. What can I use that on? That's not a bad boot color, actually. Oh, I'm going to reuse this red on the dragon. I'll darken it up a little bit and use that for details on the dragon. So that's what that's for. Okay. So those guys are fine. Those are fine. Those are just, I'm going to move some of the blood splashed minis. I'm going to move way over to the side because it'll be a while we need to do those. And this can actually do pretty well for the villagers. Those are just simple, wow, it's weird. Computer's acting up. So again, just sort of simple guys. So again, these are kind of going to be pretty good boots, perhaps, and just in general. So let's just try. I'm going to use a different brush for this, and we're going to throw that. I'm going to give some guy this color boots. Just throw that on the boots and see what we get. Again, if I don't like it, I can always paint over it again. The other boot and see where we are there. I'm liking that already. Yeah. Oh, he has the little metal things. Okay. Those are get painted separately. Okay. What do we think about that color for the boots? I'm fairly content with that. It does not know how to focus on this. It just cannot figure that out. Yeah, I'm pretty happy with that. Let's give a couple of these hobgoblins these dark boots. And then I might give a few folks a similar color or the same color really, for like shirts. And the idea here is to vary it so that you have a different combination of colors for each one. And so at the table you can point to and say, oh, I want that one over there that has the dark shirt compared to the one that has the light shirt. Ideally. Or however you want to do that. Okay, we'll go like that. do, I'm going to give this one dark boots and a dark shirt. Just kind of trying to give it some variety here. See what happens. See, tomorrow's the last day of the year. I honestly don't have too many plans. Maybe watch some anime. I'm doing a lot of baking recently. That's been fun. So, might run to the store for some more baking experiments. Yeah, let me just do the guys. I'm just gonna do the guy's whole. Let's just do all of it. Why not? I'm just gonna do the whole top of this person, other than the quiver, which again I think that's a leather. It should be like a brown. I kind of want that to stand out. I'm just gonna give him a solid in the bow as well. Again, we'll make that kind of a straight brown. So I'm not gonna bother to paint all that stuff. If I splash a little bit of the brown or this dark gray on there, I'm not gonna worry. But let's try to get in here. The other thing I got to figure out, because I'm not honestly sure from these minis, is he wearing gloves? I can't tell honestly. So what I'm gonna do, I'm gonna decide that this one is wearing this shirt sort of out to the elbows and then has bare forearms. I kind of like that idea. Okay. Cool. Alright. Sweet. They do have helmets as well, which I'll have to get in. Fortunately, I do have sort of a metallic paint on there. Oh, I need the inside of the skirt too. Not a skirt, but there we go. Okay. Not too bad. Do the rest of the boot. Alright, so here's what we have. Again, I'm pretty happy with that as a general visual thing, but I don't think I'm going to do the brown everywhere. So for this one, I'm going to give him this dark shirt, but not the boots, and the boots will be a lighter color. So we'll have some more variety. The nice thing about painting things yourself is that you can decide what's painted what, and every single mini can have a different color scheme. From the same set, basically, you know. You don't have to make a completely different shade for every single item of every single person's clothing. You could if you wanted to. But you can say, okay, you know, this person's got a brown shirt, this person's got a green shirt. And just also, as I mentioned, it just makes things easier at the table to point out different people. Now the other problem I have, the downside of all that that big dark thing, is that it's going to be really hard for me to go lighter than that color. Again, that's just sort of that's probably as light as it's going to get. So, gotta figure that out. Cool. Alright. And I want a brown for their boots and such. I'm tempted to just grab. I think I'll do that. I got this light brown. Where's the dark brown? The dark brown's, well, we'll do a variety. I'm going to use the light brown, and I'm going to use a separate brush. This is a very fine brush by these standards. And I'm going to do some, I'm going to do the quivers and bows. I'm just going to go straight in here and just Actually, probably should not do this on this one because I haven't painted the rest of it yet, and I am sure to get that other color all over the bow and the quiver. Let me just finish this up. Not the worst thing in the world, but also just like, yeah. Okay. We'll give it that little coat there. Who doesn't have boots? Okay, so he's going to have just these straight brown boots. Again, I don't really care too much that this is a kind of ordinary brown, because they're just boots. I think I'll use this brown for a shirt as well. Okay. Probably don't need as thin detailed of a brush as this one, but oh well. It's a very small brush for the amount of work I'm doing. Normally it would be just for the really, really delicate details. That's alright. I'll probably have to wash out my brushes here in a bit. Okay. So we have our boots on that person. This one, which I did sort of all red, I'll have some boots there. Yep. Give him some of these light brown boots, which are almost indistinguishable. I mean, that red really is just so bright. It really, yeah, it's kind of overwhelming the brown. You almost don't even notice he's got the brown boots on. I may need to go a darker brown on that. Yeah, I need more contrast on that. Like you can, again, they're there, but it's okay. Okay, good. I think everyone has. He does not have boots. Let's give him the brown boots as well. He's a different design, as you can tell. It's got that lower sword. He's meant to be a sort of a captain or an elite hobgoblin out of this set that I printed. I've been thinking for the live stream on Saturday of doing a bit of a 2020 anime retrospective, kind of, you know, what I watched this year. And trying to think of interesting categories. It was not just, you know, my favorite 3 anime, because that's just so personal. But instead say, you know, the anime that surprised me most, the anime that, you know, the big sci-fi anime of the year that I really watched and enjoyed, whatever. I think that's kind of cool. I might give him a whole bunch of, like, metal armor. Okay, so we have, everyone's got boots. This guy probably needs, ooh, you know what? No, we need it to be stronger. So, where to put my brown stuff? Is it still up here? It is, okay. So this is some dark brown. Just a slightly darker color. And before I go any further, I'm going to clean off this brush. I'll be just right back. Oh, do I want to do the rest of the... Yeah, let me do the rest of the quivers in the regular brown. Some of them I'll probably end up printing or painting in the dark brown, which might just go right over this. But this will give it a, again, sort of a good starter coat. And then if I don't get back to it, it looks fine. You know, not perfect, but fine. Also, I am so far away from anything approaching perfection in my mini painting. Okay. Yep, that makes me fairly happy. Yep. So I'm just going to go in one by one and give them each. Ooh, his bow broke. Interesting. Well, let's just paint that. Almost tempted to break off the rest of the bow, but you know, it's one of those details that's not that important. Like you see the bow, so the front of the bow is there, the top of the bow is there, but the back is broken off. There should be some bow down there. But again, when you're looking at this mini from a distance, you're not going to pay that much attention to it. But I kind of like the idea. Again, I might just break that off because when you're playing, again, you can kind of see, oh, that one doesn't have a bow. So that just adds some visual variety. And I have to be really careful that I don't accidentally dip this into the wrong tub. Way too much paint on this. Let me just get some of it off of there. There we are. Okay. This is not, I understand, hugely satisfying. Oh, I should also do the hilts of the weapons. So again, I'll give them there's a little brown, just to kind of finish those off. They could be more or less any, you know, leathery dark color. Ah, come on. Oh, you got all. You're tussling, aren't you? Okay. Yep, that guy as well. And like I said, I'll grab some metal paint for the rest of that. I need a bunch more in there. I only did part of that. Okay. I guess I was so worried about the other paint job. And then yep, get this out of that. There we go. Okay, jeez. Do I want to do, yeah, I'll just go ahead and do the quiver and bow now, recognizing I'll probably have to come back and fix it. But the other nice thing about using the base brown is that if I do want to come back and do it, I don't have to worry about, or if I don't have to come back and fix it, I do not have to worry about matching the color, because it is just this color. So that is a plus. So yeah, I'll probably have to touch that up a bit, but okay, and the haft, or whatever you call it, the hilt of the sword, the handle, basically, of the sword. Cool. Yep, they all have their handle. I'm going to actually paint the handle of this as well. Again, he's holding that. And so, I don't know if you can see that, but he's holding that, and I want to make sure the handle has that brown on it. Okay. Shirts. So, I haven't really used the brown much for the shirts. I don't think I have it all. So let's do that. Let's get some of these guys. Oh, but I don't, yeah, okay. Okay. I'm just going to give this guy a brown. I can't believe I haven't done this yet. It's not. I'm going to give this guy a brown, sort of circlet, doublet type thing. Each one of these characters also has some pouches on their belt. And I think I'm going to go back with some paint and give those a distinct color from their shirt. So just dab enough paint on there so you can see that those pouches are distinct. Otherwise, just kind of blend into everything else. Obviously, there. He actually has some epaulettes and such. Interesting. And I'm not crazy about this color because it's the same color as bow and the quiver, so it all just kind of blends together. That's such as life. Yeah, I'm just gonna cover all that with the brown. Again, just give it a little something something. So there's a decent sense that you're seeing something distinct. I'm gonna get back up in there as well. Okay. So here's what I have now. Back of that as well. Okay. So here's this one. Come on, focus. Focus. And the brown helps a bit. Helps quite a bit, actually. But, alright. Oh! This guy has a staff. Let's give him a brown staff while we have the brown out. Might as well. And then I'm going to figure out what to do with the dragon, I think. Is it time to give that dragon some detail? I kind of feel like it. I also kind of feel like finishing out the colors on the rest of these hobgoblins. I don't know. At the back of him, back of that staff. Cool. Alright, so he's now got a brown staff. Just adds a little bit. In fact, should I? Yeah, let's give him some brown boots. Or a brown shirt. Brown boots. And with the, again, that red really makes the brown kind of fade to the eye, so I really just want to use the brown for less consequential things in general. Yeah. Boots are fine. Okay. I tempted to give him a really bright color scheme, like some, like a blue tunic or something. Something that just, stands out. Wow! Not sure. Okay. That really did not cover very well. I think I'm going to throw another coat. I feel like I just did not get much paint on the brush there. That's better. Okay. Yeah. I was just not working with a lot of paint on the brush. Alright, so that gives him, again, some brown boots. Do I want metal next? I think I do. So close. So I've got coloring on a lot of them. Kind of feel like some dark brown. Yeah, let's do that. So I'm gonna clean off a bunch of these brushes. Actually, I'm gonna do some dark brown for some of the other shirts, and so these guys are kind of finished off, and then we'll add some metal. I'm also gonna darken up that red and work on the dragon. So be right back. Alrighty. And that did not take long. So, I want dark brown. Let's swap out the browns. take my, again, the sort of medium brush, size-wise, by mini standards. And I'm going to use that for some of these shirts. Yeah, so I'm going to give this guy and each of these guys a dark brown shirt. There's not much left in this tub. Okay, yeah, I'm already loving this brown a lot more than the light brown because it just contrasts with the red of his skin much more strongly. Interesting. It is essentially impossible to tell when I'm getting to the bottom of this tub. That's a problem. Alright. So I'm just going to have to slather it on, basically. Yeah, I think he's going to have, basically, yeah. He's going to have that shirt come all the way down to his hands. And I am just slathering this on. Okay. There we go. All the way down. And also back of that. You can see that. Alright, yeah, that's pretty good. So here's what we get with that dark brown. As you can see, yeah, there's just some nice contrast there. Okay. Might do some more boots in this color. Because it just really makes them, I don't know, there's just something about this that feels right next to the red. Try to be careful because this is a relatively large brush. Like I said, it's sort of a medium-sized brush, but compared to the mini, it's really easy to accidentally splash this someplace you don't expect. Okay. There we go. Kind of like the idea of the bare arms on this. Partly to reinforce the red skin of the hobgoblin. Just that blood red skin is a nice, fantastical element. Okay, yeah, that's pretty cool. And once we add the metal onto this, it'll really be nice. So there's that. I think these shields, we need to do something with the shield as well. The shield should all be, like, they're not going to be metal, they're going to be like wood, reinforced with such. So we have them. Is that everyone? Does everyone have is everyone fully clothed now? I think so. I mentioned, okay, yeah. He's got dark, well, he's got the dark blue, doesn't he? Yeah, so we'll give him the dark brown boots. That's pretty nice. Yeah. The other thing from a fantasy role-playing game perspective, your monstrous races aren't going to have uniforms per se. They're wearing things that they've gathered from various raids and such. So you don't have to really worry about that idea of making them all uniform. Thus the name or the word uniform. Now the shields. Do I make them all the dark? Yeah, I love this dark brown. So let's take that. I'm going to paint all the shields with this dark brown. Ooh, yeah, that's kind of nice. take out the metallic paints and use those. I will try. Whoops. I will try to like edge this in the metal paint. With the idea that they're kind of banded. Okay. Yeah, that's pretty cool. See that dark shield. All right. Yep. This is going to be that. Shields are a little different because shields are, manufactured. So what would be a little more realistic is if all the shields were different, like different designs, different makes and models, if you will. But given that they're all carrying the same shield, and we can assume that they basically raided, a castle where everybody did have the same shield. Like they were manufacturing these shields for everybody who was in that town or in that army, so that that can make a bit more sense, or at least not stand out. Right. Yeah, I think when this is done, I will grab the metal paints just to finish all these guys off, and then we'll go back to the dragon. I kind of feel like getting all of these to again, kind of a decent spot vis-a-vis coloration, instead of like jumping to the dragon, then jumping back to them. I like to finish this off. Okay. I'm not going to be able to get into all the little nooks and crannies on the backs of the shields. Just going to have to look at that. Okay. And then, okay, 2 more shields, and then we're good. Wow, that's a lot of paint. Okay. You'll notice, by the way, this is why when I start with the brush out of the pot, I usually start on a larger area, so that if there is a whole bunch of paint on the brush, I'm much less likely to be accidentally globbing it all over the creation. Right. Ooh, should not pick this up by the sword. The sword is not stable. Okay. Can I get the back? Yeah, I think I can get this all with just the paint on the brush. Okay. Here we go. Here we go. And the sides. Yeah. Actually, I say come back for the metal, but then I need to do the shields in the metal, which I really cannot do until the shields have dried. So, I'll come back to that. So let's do the dragon. So I want a darker red, and I have this other color here. Let's use that. Why not? I can actually use the maybe. Yeah. I'm going to scrape up some of this darker color. Actually, a lot of the darker color. Yeah, we'll put it in there and then start doing that. It's already starting to dry a bit. And mix that in to get a darker red. It's not really all that dark, all that much darker. So let me, I'm not going to use this much more, so I'm okay with some cross-contamination. Again, I'm always worried because these dark colors really overwhelm. Let's start there. It is ever so slightly darker. But I think that's going to be enough for what we're trying to do. Okay. So now I'm going to look at the dragon, or the drake, and ask myself what should be darker. I'm going to focus on edges. So I'm going to take, have I been using that brush? I have. I'm actually going to take the small brush, get in there, and I'm going to brush some of the edges. Hey Manav, welcome. I'm just going to lightly hit some of these other areas with this darker red and see if I can't make it feel at least a little darker. Whether or not the paint actually is darker, can't really tell. I'm just going to add some more. Yeah, it is ever so slightly darker. I'm just gonna start really layering that on. Okay, yeah, no, it's there. It's darker. Yeah, okay. And then I'm gonna go down the edges of that, and just again try to darken those bits of it. Again, I'm just kind of trying to think, where would we see variation? And I think we would see variation at the edges. So I'm gonna just throw some of this darker color there, try to hit in, oops, some of these holes, give them some sense of maybe a scab there, crusting over. Yeah. Okay. Hey, Romanov. Happy almost New Year. I think I'll also do, yeah, the legs are already pretty dark, so I'll probably go in here and see if I can't darken that even more. I like that idea, that the lower body is a slightly darker color than the rest. And again, because creatures often have a variety of coloration, not a uniform color all the way through. So just kind of getting that on there to add some detail. Let's do the chest as well. I'm just gonna rub some of this on the chest, and then kind of try to push that in, so some of the original hopefully will come through as well. Like I might even take, yeah. And we're just gonna daub off some of it to create some variation. We'll also see what we can do with the head and the muzzle. Let's darken that up. In fact, I think I'm going to darken that up a lot. Again, contrast, kind of like the idea of having the extremities darker. And I think I'm going to take that darker color and use that for the horns. I'm going to give the horns a nice, really dark, almost, like a dark gray, almost blackness to them. Let's not forget, let's cover up some of our tubs. Watch Ghost in the Shell, looking awesome, Captain Laser Eyes. I have not rewatched it yet, although I've seen it quite a few times at this point. But it's still on my list for at some point this week. Probably tomorrow. I'll go in and watch it. I've actually already pulled it off of my my share drive. I ripped a copy off of the DVD I own. So I've pulled that off, put it on the laptop so I can watch that. Now I'm darkening these spines a bit. Yeah, I like this quite a bit. This is definitely adding some sense of mystery. In fact, let me, I'm going to grab a little bit, just sort of push it back and forth along the wings, just to give it some kind of an idea of veins almost, very, very subtly. Okay. See if I can darken up those nobules. Yeah, Ghost in the Shell is definitely a movie that we can talk about forever. So we're gonna have to figure out how we're gonna kind of approach it, so we don't end up spending 4 hours going into every single little detail. It's a movie I actually did not like much when I first watched it, but I've come to appreciate and understand where it's coming from. Definitely not a movie for everyone. It's one of the most not for everyone movies in the in the anime canon, if you will. And actually, let me see if I can get in some of these edges, or some of these seams. the model did not attach together quite well. I probably should have shaved off some bits more. You can kind of see there at the intersection of the legs, if it will decide to focus, which it won't. But yeah, there's quite a gap there, so I could fill it in with like some Mod Podge or something, but not really that worried. Okay, that's cool. And I think I'm going to take. Yeah, let me like really get in dark on the edge of the tail. In fact, I think I'm going to make that tail just almost this solid dark red color. Really make that distinctively a dark red. It's a very nice dried blood color too, to be honest. That's true. Neuralink definitely makes Ghost in the Shell a lot more relevant, and I would not at all be surprised to hear that Elon's seen Ghost in the Shell at least once. Cool. And then, yeah. So I'm kind of trying to decide. So if I used, it seems to me, this, did I use this? This is dark brown, right. So I'm okay with reusing this because I don't care cross-contamination. So I'm going to dip this in the dark gray and use this for the horns. And yes, she is at the end, spoiler alert, Meiji Kusanagi is fused with the Puppet Master into two beings, or into one being rather, that contains both of them at once. And again, further spoiler alert, the idea being that, in the future, we kind of are going to have to get used to the idea of non-traditional, kind of surprising kinds of things when it comes to humanity. That this is going to create that just the nature of an aggressively digital reality is that it creates very, very strange people. And I don't mean strange in a negative way. I mean strange as in very not average. Almost incomprehensibly different from what we're used to. So I'm just dabbing some of this dark gray on just to create sort of nails, kind of talons almost, on there. Cool. And then I'm actually going to do the same thing up here on these claws. Give them a bit of a gray coloration. In fact, let's give like the front of those claws, like up to the first digit, this gray color. Again, almost like nails. That's pretty cool. And then I think, I'm just going to put a little just at kind of the tips of these the wings, just to give it a little more definition. Again, maybe barely a millimeter's worth of the stuff, or maybe a couple millimeters worth, but just to give it something. And I think I'm going to put it down here as well. Yeah, like that area as well. Cool. In fact, maybe back here as well. And we'll just do like along the top. Okay. Oh, and up here, it has this sort of mane on the top, and I want to give that a brush of the color. That's good. Okay. I like that a lot. Cool, that turned out well. I'm almost tempted. Yeah, you know what? I'm going to do some almost dry brushing here. I'm just going to brush some of this dark color on his chest and then daub it off. And that doesn't throw me too much. let me fix that. Do I dare? No, we'll grab the red. No, yeah, that's not cool. Okay. So I tried. Ooh, that's not working. Oh yeah, I'm technically mixing colors here when I shouldn't. Okay. All right. Well, that's fine. Let me let this dry for a bit. Ooh, and I've got a bit right there. Hold on. I got a big old glob of gray in a spot where I don't want it. So I'm hoping I can daub off some of it. And there'll still be a little bit there, which is almost yeah, can hardly tell it's there. All right, so that's pretty cool. No complaints. All right, now the metal. Do I have any other brushes? Oh, my brush is way over here. Yeah. Having a clue. No. Okay, I have another really, really small brush. Probably the smallest brush of all of them. I'm going to go ahead and use that for the metal. Let me grab a metal thing. So I've got steel, sterling, and pewter. I think I'm going to go with steel. It's a dark color, relatively dark metal color. Let me give that a try on these guys' swords, and I might just do get a variety. Oh, yeah, there we go. So let's start here with the steel, and I'm just going to run this along the sword. Need more than that. I might need a different brush. It's just a little unhappy. Okay. A nice full coat of that. Okay. And there's steel on the sword, which isn't bad, but honestly, I think it needs to be brighter. I don't normally like really bright colors, but I think in this case, I don't have much on here. I think I can get away with just pulling that off there and dipping that in the silver. Again, this is technically a little cross-contamination, but because the colors are so similar, I don't think it's going to be noticeable. All right, so we'll do a sword. And again, I need to come back, and do the shields as well. But I'm just getting started with the swords. Yeah, we need the weapons to shine brighter, I think. And it's just a weird contrasty thing. And also, hobgoblins, in my universe at least, are pretty concerned with battle readiness. So you imagine they keep their weapons pretty honed. Yeah, that's better. Okay. So then let me see if I can throw some banding on the shields, just sort of on the edges, and hope that will give them what they need. There's actually oh wow, I'm getting that everywhere. That does not make me happy. I have to come back. There are technically axe handles on the shields themselves, and so I'll see if I can't, color those in, if you will, with the pewter. Ooh, that's terrible. So yes, that's the idea there. But then, as you can see, that's kind of monstrous, that paint job there. Why can't you focus? I need to find the manual focus on this. All right, nope. It just doesn't know what to focus on. Interesting. But yeah, it's very sloppy. But let's go ahead and get. I do think I can fix that though, or I do think I can avoid that in future paint jobs here. Now that I'm realizing I'm doing that, I think I can just control the brush a little differently. Need more paint. There we are. These metal paints do not want to stick as well, so they're a little more finicky. Okay, take a little bit and just rub that. Okay, yeah, I just have to be careful. Technically, I suppose, I should be doing this lip on the front as well. Each shield, you can see how it's banded kind of around on the front, but that is a recipe for disaster because it is an incredibly fiddly job, and I know I would get the paint everywhere, so I am totally content with not doing that, and just having kind of the sense of it through the edges. And then let me do again, this sort of axe motif on the shield itself. And the nice thing about this is because shields are going to be a little beaten up, you don't expect that to be perfectly perfect. So let's see if it, there we are. So there's that shield, that axe. And again, I'm just sort of doing a band of silver around the edges, just give it that banding sense. So there we go. We do that with the rest of them. Fiddly work, but, you know. What fandom are these figures from? Dungeons and Dragons. There's a lot of oh gosh, I am getting that everywhere. A lot of people making their own minis, so these are actually 3D prints of designs from individuals. These are not by any company, just individuals are modeling the creatures and then putting them up online for other folks to download and print. So that's what I did. Okay, yeah, there's some stuff there that I don't love, but also I am not entering these in any competitions. I am not doing this for any reason other than my own table. So I'm happy with that. And is that, yeah, okay. You know what? Real quick, he's just a guy with a big long sword. He should get a better paint job, but for now, I'm just going to worry about the sword. Oops. I have no paint on that brush whatsoever. Let me fix that. There we go. This paint would stick better if I had thrown down a layer of paint onto the sword. This metal would stick to it more, much more effectively. But it's okay. Okay. I might come back and give it another coat. But yeah, so that gives him just that extra bit of polish on the sword. And on those three, so I just gotta do these guys. These guys here. We're gonna get some paint. Edges. Oh, I should probably do this sword first. I will. Next time. Come on. And then up here. And then wow, yeah. So one of the downsides is that I'm realizing now, I'm accidentally getting some of the silver paint on the edge of the brush. I don't know if you can see this at all. there's a little blob there at the end. And so when I'm brushing on one spot, then that blob is getting on other spots as well. So it ends up looking a little blah. Oh, and I need to do the sword as well, blade. Let me do that. Gosh, absolutely covered in silver. See if I can't even that out a bit. Okay. So yeah, unfortunately, my the main 3D printer I use for these isn't very happy right now. It's not 3D printing successfully, and I do not know why. I've tried some things to fix it, kind of the obvious things that I know, and it's just not working. And I have a friend who's asked me to 3D print some things for him for money, but yeah, I don't know if I'll be able to get that stuff to him. Like, it's just not working. So I may just have to tell him, hey, I managed this much, but now I'm kind of stuck, and so do you want to just kind of take this much now, and if I ever get it working, great, we'll continue on. And obviously I won't take money for stuff I can't print. But see if that makes sense for him. Oh gosh. Yeah, see, that's real sloppy. Okay. Alright. That's gonna have to do. This guy has some big old swords, so we're gonna throw some silver on those. Again, I kind of like this guy to have a more exciting weapon. Ooh. Or no, rather a more exciting paint job. But for now, I'm just giving him something. He was just a kind of a random mini. I was like, you know what? I'm just gonna make him red. All nice and red. There we are. Here. I've actually been watching some of The Mighty Boosh lately, specifically the live show. Very weird British sitcom from the 90s, I think. Very kind of avant-garde comedy. I found it funny, but I mean, not something I think I'll get addicted to or anything. Just kind of absurdist humor, which can be really funny, but also just again, it's very much dependent on the people. Okay. Oh, those guys! Right, I forgot about those guys. So I'm gonna grab this brush, which has some of that dark brown. I'm just gonna give these people a big old bunch of this dark color, just so they're kind of clothed, if you will. Huh. YouTube's not happy with me. Some weird data issues. Not receiving enough data for a nice thing. Oh, I'm also on Wi-Fi. Okay, come on. There's focus. There we go. I'll hopefully be fixing the Wi-Fi issues by Saturday. Yeah, let's just make him one big old color. He just stepped in a big old pile of mud and then slipped and fell in. And he is just covered with mud. At least that's my story, and I'm sticking to it. And yeah. This is actually a pretty good hair color. So yeah, he's got a big old thing. And he'll dry, obviously, less wet than that. So I think what I'm going to do, I'm going to give this guy, I'm not going to cover him in this color, but I am going to give him this hair color. There's a pretty nice, black, but not like jet black hair color. Cool. And I think I'll do the boots as well. Give him these kind of dark brown boots. Actually, almost dark gray, almost black boots. I don't care if I get some on the base, or your base, etc. Okay. Cool. So again, we're just giving him a little bit of color there. This guy, it'll be hard to see, is wearing a big cloak, and I like the idea. What I might do, this is some red. Do I give him some red boots? Yeah, well, yeah. You know what? I got like a really dark brown here. I'm going to use that for his feet. I think we can get away with that for his, for like a boots feet kind of a thing. Those might actually be sandals, but I can't really tell, honestly. I'm just going to slather all that with that. And then we'll make this the color of his cloak. A nice dark gray cloak, somewhat mysterious. You know, who is that man in a dark gray cloak? Kind of a thing. And yeah, I'll try to throw that everywhere. Yeah, that's nice. That is a nice, mysterious robed figure color, if I do say so myself. Do I go in? Yeah. I'm just going to do the entire figure in the color. Again, kind of get a nice base on there. There we are. Cool. So there's our mysterious figure. It will hopefully dry out to be a little less shiny than that. Alright, cool. And now what? I've got all that silvered, I've got all that. It's all pretty good, actually. With that dark colors, anything else I want to do would be the big question. Pretty happy with this, to be honest. There's always more to paint, obviously. Ooh, actually, I could get started on those. Do I want to? Kind of, yeah. So these are some larger scale terrain pieces that are actually meant for like village fairs, county fairs, towns, that kind of stuff. So, you know, you have your, you have this, and you have various, you know, tables of stuff, so the party can go around and, you know, buy stuff, or, you know, they can upend some fruit stands, etc. It'd be kind of nice to get a, you know, again, sort of a coat of a brown on these for the wood. A lot of brown now. Maybe, oh, you know what? I also have this, yeah, let's do this. So I have this, this well. And I'm going to use this color on that well. This dark stone color. That's nice. Yeah, that's going to be a nice thing. People usually use a lighter gray for stone, but that's fine. And I can always come back over this with a lighter gray. And with this kind of pushed in to all the cracks, it would create a nice contrast, actually. I might do that. This is a good starter thing of this nice dark stone for the well. Yeah, I don't think anyone will look at this and say that's an odd color for a well. Just a little darker than the standard. So yeah, Ghost in the Shell. it's always hard for me because I love that manga. And every adaptation just brings something else to it, which is great. But also, you kind of feel like, okay, you're getting one person's view of this, but it's just not. It's not as varied as the manga is. The manga feels like it's a whole bunch of different approaches to things. It's one of the things I like about it. Whereas like the movie, Oshii's movie, is much more focused. There's very little comedy, basically no comedy. It's brilliant, but it's also just kind of, and if I'm honest, a lot of the stuff in the movie is a little on the nose, if you will. Where, when he's trying to be philosophical, it's very obvious when he's trying to be philosophical. A lot of the symbolism isn't obvious in and of itself, but it's like action sequence, philosophical sequence, action sequence, and there's some blending of that. But there's not a lot of that. Like Miyazaki likes to introduce a lot of his world building with little, visual things. Like characters would just walk past something. Nausicaa is a famous example of this, where a lot of the technology, a lot of the elements you see in that movie are very deliberately crafted, very deliberately created by the people there for specific reasons, right? Like it's not just, you'll see a tower of spinning things, and thank you, Purapuri. You see a tower of spinning things, and like there's all the sorts of thought into what those do in the world and why they're there, and he's not just showing that to you because it looks cool, but because he wants you to understand how the world works through showing you that thing at that moment. That's what Miyazaki can do. Whereas with Ghost in the Shell, a lot of the background elements are just kind of background elements. There's not that level of world building through narrative, if you will, or like through background and through that kind of complexity. It's more, it's not the same, I guess. Hard to describe. Not that Miyazaki is ideal either. I mean, there's certainly movies of his I like more than others, and there are times when he's not subtle. But Ghost in the Shell can be a little like, we're being deep now. Okay, so there's that. Again, just a kind of a coat to make it look a little more serious. So I like that. So now that I've got that, let me see if there's any other stonework that I need to do here. I've got a giant piece of stone. Ooh, do I want it? Yeah, I know. Should probably throw this away. I have some like gravestones, but they look kind of terrible. So I should probably just toss those because I don't want to actually use them. Ooh, I could do some rat folk. I want to do some rat folk. I don't really have as much. Yeah. It's 10:30. I've been doing this for an hour and a half. Oh, let's give him a coat. This is sort of a crystalline monster kind of a thing that I did a while ago, and I kind of like the idea, but I don't have enough. Ooh, I don't have enough. Ooh, you know what? Yep. Guess who's getting red? Nice dark red. Yep. That's what's happening. He's going to be a deep old red crystal monster. And I might even come in with some of this dark color on the tips or something. Yeah. this is right. This is going to be an interesting creature. But I really like this color scheme. It really, for most effect, would need a bunch of different coats probably. Like really do some interesting things with different shades and things. But for now, we'll just make him a nice dark red. I'm also tempted, to be honest, to just pull out a bunch of minis and splatter blood all over them. I think this is a fantastic dried blood color, let's be honest. Didn't intend it that way, but you know, if I'm ever going to have any monsters that are covered in spattered blood, this is the time. It feels like the time to take advantage. Maybe I'll pull out my gnolls and do some stuff there. This feels really right with this particular design. I have no idea why I printed it. I think it just looks so cool. Probably I just looked at it and said, you know, I want that on my shelf. But I don't think my players have ever encountered it. And unfortunately, they probably won't anytime soon with the pandemic. Probably a little while before we're playing face-to-face again. It kind of doesn't make sense in virtual games to pull out a mini like this and just say, hi, you know, this is what you're fighting, moving on. Alright. The other nice thing about 3D printing is, you know, if you accidentally break something, you know, the mini doesn't work out the way you want it to, just print another one. Go over there and kick off a print. You're good to go. Okay. Now I can tell with all the angles here, yep, it's going to be really easy for me to miss little nooks and crannies. So I'm going to have to be very careful on that. There we are. You don't want like big white spots on a paint job like this. They'll really stand out. Some variation is fine. I'm not going to expect this paint job to be, you know, an exactly solid color, but then it shouldn't be anyway. Right? It is a monster that has creases and joints and such, so there should be some variation in the color variation, the color application. Ow. I just don't want big white patches. Okay. So I think once I have this paint everywhere, might as well do the bases. Base of the feet. Get in there. Get in there. There we are. I probably should not be doing this on, you know, over top of existing minis. But, alright. Ooh, yep, and there as well. There as well. Underarms. There. 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 Look down from above. Alright. Boom. Yeah, that's a lot cooler than a white mini. Let's just be straight up there. Welcome, Josh. So like I said, let me spatter some blood on some things. We're going to give them some blood. We're going to give... Where are my gnolls? Gnolls. Oh, they already have some blood. Well, we'll add some extra blood. Again, I want this for kind of the more savage creatures. Ones that would just kind of have be walking around with dried blood on them. You wouldn't necessarily want this for general adventurers. In fact, I might even do this on, yeah, let's do this on some of the actual minis. Ooh, that's fine, that's fine, that's fine. Okay. Okay. So this is actually a pre-painted mini that I got somewhere, maybe in a gift or something. So just a general, what is it actually? It is a Quaggoth. So just your standard underground denizen creature thing. So I'm just going to grab some of the red. I'm actually going to get most of the red off of it, and I'm just going to dab it onto the arms, the hands, and quite a bit of it onto this sort of club mace thing it has. Just to give it that extra bit of savagery. Maybe a bit on the arms as well? Yeah. And that's all I've done. But I don't know how well you can see. Yeah, so there's a little bit more of that red blood now on the arm there. See it on that hand. So I like that. Again, I generally don't do particularly bloody, gory games, but it's nice having the occasional. Ooh, and actually, this might make sense. Inside. Yeah, I'm going to stuff some of this inside the mouth of one of these creatures to give it kind of that red mouth, and then I will throw some blood onto its hands. There we are. Hi, Crazy. Thank you very much. So again, just a little bit of blood. Yeah, this is not something I'm good at. Yeah, a little bit of blood there. Cool. Again, second verse same as the first. I'm going to jam some red into its mouth. And actually, I like the idea of it on its lips as well. What has it been eating? What have you been eating? And then dab that onto. In fact, yeah, you know what? I'm just gonna cover its hands and its upper arms in the stuff. Cool. Maybe a little bit on the chest. Sure, why not? It's a sloppy eater. Okay. Cool. And I got some other creatures here. This is actually, no. I think these are sort of similar kind of Quaggoth creatures, just 3D printed. So I'm going to throw, in fact, I might actually, this might be, you know what, I'm just going to cover this thing. I'm going to make it just red. Like, it's not necessarily dried blood, it just has this dried blood sort of accent, I think. I'm just going to throw this all over it. So it has just kind of a brown base and then a red covering on its coat. Again, just like in real life, you got creatures that are different variations of colors. So there we go. You just add some variety. Man, come on, focus, 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 focus. Its focus is there, then kind of sort of focus there? Yeah. I guess it just doesn't like what it sees here. It doesn't know how to focus on it. Doesn't know what it should be seeing. Yeah, I'll do the same thing here, basically. Just give it some, but I'll be a little lighter on the coloration. So it has kind of a redness to it, but it's more all over the place. I did not make the models myself, I printed them. So I downloaded the files online and then 3D printed them on a printer back there. So I made them in the sense that I did, fabricate them in that sense. There we are. Nice. Nice, nice, nice. All right, these little mini Godzillas. And then so this is a gnoll. It's a very fierce D&D monster. And in my games, gnolls are actually created by this very fierce god out of pure sort of desire to create death and destruction. So they are not particularly subtle creatures. They just want to kill and destroy and annihilate things. So they have a very bad reputation, as you might imagine. If people discover there are gnolls in the area, they get really freaked out. And so I just kind of like that because they're not they're essentially created by this god to destroy, so they don't have typical kind of ways of behaving. Jeez, come on! I don't want you. It's fine to focus there for a while, but then maybe don't stay focused there for a minute. They don't really have love. They don't really have mercy. They don't really have any concept of those things because they were created by their god for this one purpose, which creates a very interesting kind of monster. It's much more single-minded, but also because it's, on the one hand, it doesn't care for survival, but on the other, it doesn't want to die, right? So it will retreat. Gnolls will retreat if they're outnumbered or whatever. But they can also just do things very savagely, right? They can just do horrible, horrible things for the fun of destruction, of chaos. So I find that just kind of an interesting sort of enemy to face. So here we are, our gnoll just with some more red splashed on it. So again, it just kind of looks more like it's been rooting around in some very, very foul garbage. Cool. All right, I've painted a lot of minis here. I'm pretty happy with this. I don't think I'm going to do these again. It's just going to take forever to paint up all of the wood on here, and it's not very interesting to watch. So thank you all for joining me. I think that'll do it for tonight for a little workshop Wednesday. I don't know if I'm going to continue doing this week after week. I just kind of felt like doing it tonight. But I may be back. I don't know. I like having this as a thing to do. We'll see. I just, creativity is good. Creativity is cool. But thank you all for joining me, and take care. See you. Bye.